The ward was closed as a temporary measure. No structural damage was reported. No contamination was detected. No formal incident preceded the decision. The closure was approved during a routine review. The affected area was designated as a long-term observation ward. No patients were officially admitted after the closure date. No discharge records were generated. Despite this, monitoring protocols remained active. Environmental controls continued operating within standard parameters. Air circulation was maintained. Lighting schedules were preserved. Temperature readings remained stable. The ward was not repurposed. Staff rotation logs indicate scheduled walkthroughs. These entries were marked as completed. No accompanying notes were provided. At no point was patient presence confirmed. Audio monitoring was not disabled. Low-level ambient noise was recorded during several cycles. This was attributed to building infrastructure. No investigation followed. Medical equipment remained in place. Several devices were powered on. Usage indicators were active. No usage was logged. During a secondary audit, the ward was referenced as operational. This designation was not corrected. Inventory reports list occupied beds. Patient identifiers were not attached. The discrepancy was logged. It was categorized as administrative delay. Over time, references to the ward became less specific. Later documents describe it only as the closed area. No clarification was requested. Observation protocols were renewed annually. Each renewal cited prior approval. No new authorization was issued. The ward was never reopened. No decommission order was filed. No final inspection took place. The area remains sealed. Monitoring continues. The record ends without resolution. The record was not closed following the initial summary. An addendum was appended during a later review cycle. No justification was provided for reopening the file. The ward designation remained unchanged, closed, under observation. Environmental logs continued to populate automatically. Entries were generated at regular intervals. No manual input was detected. Power consumption remained consistent with partial occupancy. This discrepancy was not escalated. Maintenance requests originating from the ward were logged on 3 occasions. Each request referenced routine wear. No source was identified. The requests were fulfilled. Service personnel confirmed access to the corridor. No staff reported entering the ward itself. Badge access logs show intermittent activity near the sealed doors. No corresponding personnel records were located. This was attributed to legacy system overlap. Audio monitoring remained enabled. Several recordings contain low-amplitude sounds inconsistent with ventilation patterns. These sounds were reviewed. They were not classified as speech. No further analysis was approved. A staffing report generated during the same period lists the ward as active. This status was carried forward into subsequent documents. The classification was not corrected. Medical equipment audits indicate calibration procedures were performed remotely. No physical inspection was recorded. Bed occupancy metrics continued updating. Values fluctuated within expected ranges. Patient identifiers were not present. The system did not flag the absence. During a quarterly review, a recommendation was made to consolidate observation wards. The closed ward was included in the consolidation summary. No action followed. The addendum concludes with a procedural note. The note states that continued observation was preferable to reassessment. No rationale was attached. Monitoring remains active. The addendum was distributed to multiple departments. No department acknowledged receipt. Despite this, the document was referenced in later correspondence. Several internal emails cite the closed ward as an ongoing responsibility. No individual was assigned. Budget allocations included routine maintenance costs. These costs were approved annually. No justification was requested. Cleaning schedules list the corridor adjacent to the ward. The ward interior was excluded. No explanation was provided for the exclusion. Inventory reports continued to register medical supplies assigned to the ward. Expiration dates were updated. Replacement orders were issued. No delivery confirmations were logged. The supplies were marked as consumed. This inconsistency was categorized as clerical error. Repeated instances did not trigger escalation. Staff rosters occasionally referenced coverage responsibilities linked to the ward. No employee acknowledged working inside the area. Several individuals denied familiarity with the designation entirely. Training documents include procedural references specific to the ward. No training sessions were recorded. New staff were not briefed on its status. Legacy staff assumed prior clearance existed. This assumption was never verified. During a human resources audit, the ward was listed as inactive. The same document references active observation protocols. The contradiction was not resolved. The audit was closed. An incident code associated with the ward appeared in quarterly summaries. No description accompanied the code. Severity level was listed as minimal. Follow-up requirements were waived automatically. The code appeared again in subsequent quarters. No cumulative review was conducted. At no point was the incident classified as medical. It remained administrative. This designation prevented further inquiry. In later years, references to the ward became indirect. Documents refer instead to that area or the sealed section. The original designation was omitted. Observation systems continued operating under legacy identifiers. These identifiers were not updated during system upgrades. Attempts to decommission inactive monitoring units excluded the ward. The exclusion was not deliberate. The ward was simply not listed. The system continued functioning. No record indicates that observation has ceased. The file remains accessible within the archive. No closure date has been assigned. No reassessment is scheduled. The ward remains sealed. Observation continues.